Hello and welcome to Rain Francis Art. My name is Rain. Well, today, my friends, we're going to do a little tulip study. We're going to practice a little bit of flower painting. So let's begin. This is what I'll be using for today's painting. I'm going to be using Strathmore Watercolor cold press paper. It's 140 pounds and it's the 300 series, which is a really good student grade practice or study paper. As for paints, I'm going to be using my pan paints, and I did mention this on the last video that I finally got the color chart, so I'm able to name all of the colors for you. So instead of always going like this and putting it in front of the camera, I can actually tell you what colors I'll be using, which is really, really nice. It makes it a lot easier. As for brushes, I have all my rounds out today, and I've got a number 4 liner. I've got the number 8 or number 10 large brush here. I've got a number 4, a number 2, and a tiny little 3/0. I don't know if I'm using all of these, but whichever ones I use, I will definitely let you know. I have some watercolor pencils. I have orange and green. These are optional because I'm going to sketch my tulips. You could use a regular pencil for that if you like. I also have some water, some paper towel. My hair dryer is handy. And I've been sketching tulips all day. I've been trying to figure out which ones I like. I think I kind of like the tall ones better than the fat ones. But basically, when you're doing a tulip, and I'll put I'll leave you a little stencil if you want to download it and print it. But you basically do like almost a teardrop on one side, a teardrop on the other side, a triangle top, and 2 more triangles like that. And then the stem always comes out like this on each side, and then it's straight. And then you know you've got your leaves, same on each side, right? So that's basically what a tulip is, and that's what I'm going to be sketching today. I just wanted to show you that. Well, I hope this doesn't bother you, my friends, but I decided to switch my page around. I want to have it portrait rather than landscape because I want to make my flowers really long. So I'm going to start by just loosely drawing some tulips with that kind of teardrop shape, and then the triangle in the middle and a couple of 2 triangles like that. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. It's quite faint because I have my bright lights on, but you get the idea, right? We're just drawing a couple of shapes to make sure that we've got some nice tulips. And I'm going to draw maybe 4 of them. I'm not sure if it'll be 4 or 5. I'm going to see. Teardrop on one side, teardrop on the other, triangle, and then 2 triangles. Surprisingly enough, these are not easy to draw. I'm serious. I did not have an easy time learning how to do this, and I'm still having a hard time. Now, just for the sake of odd numbers, why don't we just draw 5 of them? All right, now I'm not going to draw the stems for now. I want to just start painting my flowers, and I'm doing a wet in wet technique where I'm applying water first, and then I'm going to apply wet paint. So wet in wet, one little petal at a time. And I'm going to choose a Scarlet Red. That's kind of a nice light kind of warm red. I'm sticking to warm tones today. And like I said, I'm doing 1 petal at a time, but I'm going to make it quite loose. I'm not really going to follow the drawing stencil because I want it to look like a loose painting. I don't want it to look, the only word that comes to mind right now is contrived, which is probably not the right word. Okay, I've got my number 2 brush, by the way. Now I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to do petal by petal, like I said, each one like this. And I'm sticking to the warm palette today because I've got some of my followers know I have a blog, rainfrancis.com or rainfrancisart.com, and every Thursday I host an art date. It's called Thursday Art and Dinner Date with Rain. And the reason why it's a dinner date too is because I'm a foodie. And on my blog I always post photos of the food that I make, and I post my artwork. So I have a lot of people who follow me there, and a good couple of dozen sometimes of people who join in. No, not a couple of dozen, maybe up to, I think the most I've had is like 18 people link their blog post, which is really cool because I get to see their artwork too, and I get inspired by that. We all inspire each other. So if you want to share your artwork, just check out my blog, rainfrancis.com. The link is in the description below too. And you can link up, if you have a blog, you can link up your blog post or your Instagram post and show us your artwork. And if you want to follow the prompt for this week is warm colors, reds, oranges, and yellows. That's why I'm doing my tulips with warm colors. And you don't have to follow the prompt. You can link up to the Thursday Art and Dinner Date, even if you don't do art. If you want to show off a blog post where you've made some food, or you want to share a recipe, or just food photos, then you can link up there too. We all inspire each other. That's the great thing about it. I also have another YouTube channel. Well, I have a few other ones, but another one that I have is called Rain's Kitchen and Garden, and that's where I post all of my food videos. So it goes, for me, art and food goes hand in hand. All right, so the trick about doing layers with watercolor is to make sure that each layer is dry before you start another one. So what I'm going to do, this is dry, I'm going to start working on the other large petal there. And again, I'm doing wet in wet. So I'm just putting some water into the petal. Wherever the water goes, the paint will follow. Okay, now I'm going to go into orange. I'm going to use a cadmium orange. A nice orange. Look at that. Isn't that nice? It's cadmium orange. You can use whatever orange you have. Now right now it just looks like I'm doing kind of paint by numbers, but what I'm going to do actually after is add more layers so that the colors blend in a little more. This is really for the underpainting or the background or whatever you want to call it. So as I'm going along, I'm just adding water here for the wet in wet. And I'll use that cadmium orange again. I love tulips. They're so pretty, and there's so many colors now and varieties that you can get. I actually, oh, my dog Jack is up. I actually ordered some tulip bulbs this year. I didn't clean off my brush, that's why there's some orange coming out right now, but I don't mind because I am going to add maybe a little more paint. I don't like to waste paint, so if there's some on the brush, I'll use it, but I'll add a little more there. Jack, go settle down, honey. Go on, you're a good boy. He just woke up from his nap. You can hear his nails on my hardwood floor. All right. Oh, you okay, Jack? Oh. Jack's getting over a sinus infection and he's still a little sniffly. It's lasted quite a long time, actually. He's a little older. He's 17 years old this year. My little baby Jack. I didn't have him from when he was a puppy. I got him at a shelter when he was 9 years old. And he was a hard case, let's just say. He was a biter. He was fear aggressive, and through lots and lots of love and patience and treats and what they call trading up, he got over his fear aggression, and now he trusts me completely. Trading up just means, you know, if I gave him a toy or a bone, he got aggressive thinking that I was going to take it away from him. That's fear aggression. When they're scared, they get aggressive. And for him, that's what it was. When he had something that he felt belonged to him and he didn't want it to be taken away, he was afraid that it would be taken away, he would get aggressive and he would start growling. And when I first got him, he bit me a couple of times because I had to get used to him too. I never had a dog that was fear aggressive. But trading up just means I had something more to offer him. Like if he was, you know, focusing on a toy, then I would get a piece of cheese and I would say, Jack, you want this? And he would eventually drop the toy and get the piece of cheese, and that way he would understand that he could go back to the toy. So, very complicated to understand what they go through sometimes, you know. We always assume they're just going to understand what we mean, but they don't. So I'm going to blow dry this with my hair dryer and then I'm going to continue. So the inside petals, they're all going to have an underpainting of lemon yellow. So I'm just going to put some water onto those 3 petals. And add some lemon yellow. I hope the lighting is okay. I have a little bit of a glare here, but I don't know if you can see the glare too. I certainly hope not. Glare is very annoying when you're watching painting videos. But it's hard to avoid it sometimes because the water picks up the light, right? For me, I put my lights kind of on the side, so you see shadows instead of glare. But I think I would rather choose shadows over glare when it comes to watercolor. Jack, what do you want? What's he doing? Okay, he's settling down. Alright, gonna get some of that lemon yellow. I really like this wet and wet technique. I usually only do it the first time around, you know, for the base layer or the underpainting. After that, I use dry, wet on dry technique. As long as you let your layers dry in between, you can do a lot of layers. And they won't bleed into each other, you know? That's the thing. If you leave them wet, trying to add layers, then they're all just going to kind of bleed together, which is a good technique sometimes if you want an abstract kind of coloring, or if you want that look, that's fine. But if you don't want the colors to bleed together, really, really make sure that they're dry. Alright, going back into that lemon yellow. Alright, I'm going to let this dry and then I will continue. Alright, so my layers are dry. This one's a little wet, but it'll be dry by the time I get to it. I'm going to continue adding some color, but what I'm doing now is wet on dry. So I'm going to wet my watercolors and I'm going to apply it onto my dry canvas. I'm going to use what's called a rose red, and I'm going to apply that just sort of on the bottom of the petal here. And I'm going to clean off my brush, and I'm going to sort of bring some of that color over here with a lot of water because I want it to be transparent. And I'm going to blend that in just so it doesn't look like a straight line there. See, we've got a little transparency here. We can see a little orange through the red, and I'm going to do that with all of the petals, but first I'm going to fix something that's kind of been bugging me here. My piece of masking tape at the bottom here, I've put masking tape down just to keep my page in place. It keeps unraveling and sticking to my arm. So there we go. That's not going to distract me anymore. All right, going back into that rose red. With lots of water. And I'm just doing the same thing. And I'll bring it over to the orange side with lots of water so that it's nice and transparent. And then I clean off my brush, dab it a little, and then blend. There we go. Those colors are looking pretty nice already. I'm just basically repeating everything back into the rose red. With a little water, just pulling it over to the orange side. And then with a clean brush, damp, blending. There. Now I got distracted before, so I'm not sure if I talked about this or not, so you'll have to forgive me if I've already said this, if I'm repeating myself. I was just thinking about my garden this year. And I bought my house 3 years ago, and my dream was to have a beautiful garden, you know, a big self-sufficient vegetable garden. And I tried many things for a couple of years. This is a different growing zone than I'm used to. I had a lot of trouble with my garden over the past couple of years, and I had critters who were eating the seeds and things that just didn't grow, and it was kind of depressing. So I thought this year, you know what, why don't I concentrate on some flowers while I try to do research about this growing zone and see what I need to do in this area to have a successful vegetable garden. So I've been, actually just today, I was looking at some seed catalogs, and I think I'm going to order some tulip bulbs to put in for the fall so that they'll grow every spring. I'm thinking of that. I'd like to do that. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll keep adding layers. Well, I just thought of something that I wanted to do. I've pulled out my palette, and what I'm going to do is a little bit of background color behind all of these beautiful tulips. So I'm going to use 3 colors. I'm putting some water into 3 of the dishes, and I'm just basically going to take some of the lemon yellow some of the Cadmium Orange. A little more of that. Okay. And then some of that Rose Red. My three nice warm colors there. And I'm going to just add some color very lightly to the background. I'm going to go around each flower. And I really don't mind if it bleeds, because what I'm looking for right now is loose. Okay? I want loose. And that just means I'm not sticking to, you know, a specific sketch. It's going to kind of look blurry, if you will. That's kind of what loose is. So I'm going into the orange now. And then a bit of the red at the bottom. These are going to dry very lightly, you know. Guess I kind of want to do a bit of an abstract painting today. I don't know. I don't feel like following rules today. I don't feel like doing anything that follows a specific agenda. So I'm kind of doing my own thing here. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Did I just say that? Yes, I did. Soften up the edges with some water here. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. So I will continue. I'm using only my number 2 brush, by the way, just so you know. I mean, the big one I used for the background, that's the number 8 or the number 10. As I mentioned, the number wore off, so I don't remember which size it was, but it's a big one, a big one. There we go. Okay. So why don't I continue? I'll put that palette away. Don't need that anymore. And what I will do here in the middle, where we had that lemon yellow, is I'm going to take some cadmium orange. And I'm going to add some cadmium orange to the whole tulip. Even to the red areas. And I'm going to take a little water and blend that a little bit. The thing is, I don't really want to lose the shape of the tulip. I don't mind if it's a little loose and we lose some of the shape, but I want those petals to show, you know? That sort of pointy top, I want that to show. Back into the cadmium orange. And like I said, putting it all over the tulip. And my friends, do whatever you want with this. You don't have to follow what I'm doing. You know, this isn't a strict tutorial. I'm just having fun with paints, and I'm, you know, trying to have a little lesson here for myself to learn how to be a little more loose with my painting and to blend colors and to not follow any rules, like I said. I just want to really, really have fun today. I'm just adding water so that we have a nice transparent layer there on the tulip. Back into the cadmium yellow. I said yellow. I meant orange. I'm sorry. Oh, Jack, you won't settle down, will ya? He just drank a whole lot of water, which means he's going to have to go out soon, which means I may have to stop what I'm doing. Just adding water. And some more of the cadmium orange here for this one. I love all the layers of color. There we go. I think this one looks the nicest, in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is let this dry and then continue adding layers. All right, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add lemon yellow to the entire tulip. Want to see how that looks. All right, that's not looking too bad. But as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to keep the triangle. Like here, we had a little burst of color there with the water. It's escaping me now what the term of that is. Bloom, that's what it's called, a bloom. So I'm trying to kind of keep to the triangle shape as I go. Just adding water to kind of pull that color down. After this, we're going to add some red, and that's going to be really something. See if that works or not. I love how transparent these colors are. I really, really enjoy this. I used to paint only with acrylics. And I actually started painting with oil paints when I started painting. I did the Bob Ross Joy of Painting, all of his TV shows actually. But I love the transparency of the watercolors. Once again, I'm going to take out the blow dryer. This time I'm going to add layers of red, and I'm going into that rose red color. It's probably going to be quite strong at first, but that's all right. I'm going to blend it out. I want that petal to really be obvious. And I'm just taking some water and adding it to the petal. And I'm going to pull some of that color and put it into this petal. But I am sort of dabbing my brush into water and then dabbing it on paper towel so I can pull some of that color off. Because I don't want it to be like, you know, red, yellow, orange. I want the colors to blend. But I do want the petals to be obvious. So while I'm on this flower, I'm actually going to grab some of that cadmium orange. And you see what I'm doing? I'm outlining that middle triangle right there. I'm going to add a little more orange to this side too, since I have it on my brush. And I'm going to blend and pull some of that orange off. We're going to go over the whole thing with yellow again, so it's just doing layers right now. So I'm going to do the same thing for each flower, grabbing a little bit of that rose red to outline the left petal again. got a little more red on it, on the brush there. You know, sometimes I realize I don't talk very loud. I just enjoy quiet. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm talking too low and nobody can hear me. Someone told me that once. I had to turn the volume up to be able to hear you. Back into the cadmium orange. Just that middle triangle. And I'll put a little bit here on that petal. All right. Let's keep doing that. A study is exactly what it is. It's practice, right? You're studying how to do something. If you want to learn how to do something, you have to do it over and over, unless you're lucky enough to get it right the first time. And by right, I mean, you know, not being perfect, but getting it to the how you like it. All right, back into the orange for the middle triangle. Water. And whatever's on the brush goes on that right petal. Back into the rose red. This is a funny looking lopsided one. I really like this one and this one. I like the thin ones. So should we call this a tulip study, or is it just a flower study? Into the orange. Oh, too much orange. Cadmium orange, that is. All right. Whatever's left on the brush goes onto the right petal. Into the rose red. Into the cadmium orange. And whatever's left on the brush goes onto that right petal with a little bit of water. All right, let's let that dry. Okay, I'm going to go over everything again with that lemon yellow. Everything. Now that's a lot of paint, so I'm going to pull some of that over to the rest of the flower. And I'm adding lemon yellow to those two little triangles on the side. Remember I put the orange in the middle triangle? I'm just going to add some extra yellow to those two little triangles. And then I'm going to take some water and kind of pull that down. I feel like I should have not put any yellow onto the red, so I'm going to remove that. And at this point I'm just adding just a touch of that red here because I really shouldn't have put yellow on it. I want to keep that red looking beautifully red. There, I'm happier with that. So back into the yellow. And why don't we start with those two little triangles, some water, and pulling that into the orange area. There we go. I can put a little bit into the red, but mostly into the orange areas. And I'm going to go into that rose red again add some more here since it's dry already. With some water. Oh, I'm liking those. That color combination is really pretty. All right, let's do the same thing with the others. A little bit of the lemon red into those little triangles. And then pull it into the orange with some water. And rose red into this side here. Gorgeous. Okay. I'm very much enjoying this. I hope you are too. This is very relaxing for me. I don't like the way this one's looking at all, but I'm just going to pretend that it looks like a regular tulip. Just looks a little too fat for me, you know. It doesn't have that beautiful sort of contour, but Rain, it's a study. You're learning. We are our own worst critics, aren't we? Seriously. All right, yellow. And a little water. Pull that yellow into the orange. And some red rose. I'm saying red rose, it's rose red. I'm thinking of the fairy tale red rose. Rose red, that's so pretty. Now I'm going to just take a little water and soften up that division a little where it needs to be softened. I might add a little more red rose red, to these petals. Why not, huh? And soften it up there with the water. Because it is drying quite quickly, so I'm able to add some more right away. I'm very happy with the yellows and the orange. I'm not going to touch that, but I want to make the red a little bit more red, a little more vibrant. I don't like this though. Let me pull that off. All right, back to the red rose red. If all of my flowers could have looked like this one, I'd be really happy, because I love the way that one looks. You know what, I said I wasn't going to add any more yellows or oranges. I'm doing it, going for it. Just in the little triangular areas. And then I'm going to blend. Because now that I see how vibrant that that red is, I want the other colors to be just as vibrant. So I'm going to go into the Cadmium Orange. I'll come back after and blend everything. I just want to get the paint down. All right, now I've got some water, and I'm just going to blend. All right, now while that's drying, I'm going to take my green watercolor pencil and I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a guide as to where I want to put the green stems. So I'll start with the bottom one because that one is out front. I don't know how far you can see down to about here, I guess. So I'll go all the way down to here. And I'll give it a few stems there. You may not be able to see this, but this is really just for, it's a guideline for myself. Okay, now in here, I'm going to make sure that the stem is behind this tulip here, but I have to remember it goes down here. So we're going to see another little stem coming down here. Same thing here. This one's coming right down here. There we go. This one too. The stem is here. And it's going to come down this way. And I might have some, maybe a leaf coming out here, out here, out here. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to take my blow dryer and I'm going to make sure everything is absolutely dry before I start to add green. Okay, I decided I wanted to do something. I want to add more orange, so I'm going into the Cadmium Orange. And I'm going to put it sort of all over the roses. I was just feeling like it looked too much like there was a band of red and a band of yellow and a band of orange. I'm not going to put it on the two little triangles where we have the yellow. I'm just going to add more to the red and the orange area, and I'm hoping that will be something that will make me happy. And you know, you might hear me say, oh well, I have to add more yellow now, so we'll see. Just going to add orange. And some water just to blend all that in. And I'm hoping that'll make me happy. Right. With some water, blending. Yes, I am going to say it. I'm probably going to add some more yellow. I don't know when to stop. But I'm going to do it while everything's still wet so that it'll blend in if it wants to. I'll pull it down a little. I think I'm going to be happy with this. I'm just pulling a little bit of color off there because something happened here where there was too much red, so that should be a little more orange. There we go. Okay, I will leave that at that, and I will start doing a little bit of green. So for the stems and the leaves, I'm going to start with a yellow-green color, and I've still got my number 2 brush. And I'm just going to go and fill in some green everywhere that I drew it out. The only thing is I want to be very careful not to put any green anywhere where there is wet, because it will bleed into it and it won't look nice. It'll look all dumpy and muddy, you know. So I will come back and do what I have to do after, near the wet areas. But I'd like to get in a first layer here of green. All right, so we're going to do our stems and our leaves in this really nice yellow-green. And I think it's going to look pretty. I think you might start seeing the painting come together right now, now that I'm adding the stems, because they kind of look like floating bulbs before. All right. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. Now I have to put green in other areas, but I want to be careful not to get any green into those nice warm colors there. And I don't want to smudge with my hand either. So as you can maybe tell, I'm concentrating. So not too much talking right now while I'm concentrating. All right, I think this is going pretty well here. This needs to be a little thicker. Now, I don't know why I had this here, but I'll just follow whatever lines that I had. All right, now this time I have to let it dry completely because I want to add some more layers of green. All right, we're nearing the home stretch now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some clean water and I'm going to go into my white color. And I'm just going to put a few little white highlights. I've loaded up my brush with white here. And I'm just going to go around sort of the top areas of the petals with white. This is very, very transparent white, so it should blend very well. Okay, I'm just putting a little highlighting of white, just a little bit, around the tops of the petals. And maybe a little bit here, but I will blend that very, very well with water. I don't want there to be a white stripe. I just want there to be a hint of a highlight. I'm going to do that with all of the flowers here. And then I'm blending it a little bit, just so it's not obvious that it's a white spot. You know what I mean? When I have my watercolor paints out, I always have 3 dishes of water. I have one that I clean all my brushes with, and that becomes sort of the dirty water for everything. And then I have a clean one that I use for my colors. And then I always have another one handy in case I want to use white, because I don't want to stick my brush into anything that has any other pigment than white in it. So that's just to let you know, I have 3 dishes of water. A lot of people will say they have 2 dishes, you know, 2 dishes of water. One clean, one for the clean, and one for the dirty. But I have 3. 1 for the dirty, 2 for the clean. Well, 1 for the dirty, 1 for the clean, and 1 for the white, if that makes any sense through my babbling. All right. Okay, I'm going to leave that as is. I hope that made a difference. And I'm going to go into a little bit of dark green. I'm using Hooker's green. And I'm going to put just, I don't know, some shadows, I guess. A few shadows of Hooker's green onto my flowers. I'm not covering up that yellow-green too much, but I want to put just something different. And then I'll add a little water and blend that in a little. Just so it doesn't look like a stripe, you know. Back into the hooker's green. And water to blend. I'm going to pull some of that hooker's green out of that leaf there, okay? I felt like there was a little too much there. Maybe a little too much there. Okay. Adding a little more just around the bottom of the flower. And blending. I like what I did there actually, just like that, and then blending it with some water. This is my favorite one. I seem to always be able to get that one done the way I like it. Maybe it's because it's the last one and I was able to practice on the first 4, and then I got the last one the way I liked it. Because I don't like the way I did these leaves here, so I'm going to go back into that yellow green and try to kind of cover that up a little. Just on all the leaves here. Now I'm going to take a little water and just kind of blend everything in. Down here, all the greenery. I want it to be a little looser. Or should I say a little more loose? I'm going to actually grab my number 4 round brush for this because it's a little bigger and it'll do a better job blending or softening the edges, let's just say. That's how I want it to look, a little softer. Because I think the way that I did my tulips looks very soft. And I don't want the stems to be, you know, in your face. You know what I mean? Type of thing. I want them to be nice and soft too. Nice and loose. I've just got my, I'm going to put my clear water there, my clean water there. So it's right next to me. You will notice that I'm pulling off quite a bit of the color because I don't want it to be that dark after all. And what I'm doing is I have my brush here. It's clean, but it's damp. And what I'm doing is pulling off the color and then dabbing it on a paper towel like that. just so that I can get some of that extra color off, because it's a little too, you know, I want the focus to be on the actual tulip, not on the leaves. The leaves are in the background. I think this looks a lot better than what it was before when it was dark. Like this one looks like a person going like this, and I don't really like that. So I'm going to pull some of that off with some clean water. There we go. That's working. I have to be careful because right now what happened was I had too much water on my brush and it kind of mixed with the red and I started to get a brown color right there. So I have to be really careful. Yes, you can add layers when your watercolor is dry, but you have to remember that it is watercolor after all. And it responds to water. So if you put enough on it, even if it's dry, it's going to respond. My dog is playing right now. He's trying to let me know that it's dinner time. It's actually very close to their dinner time, so they know. He's trying to get my attention right now. Don't worry, Jack. He'll eat. He actually shakes and he chews on his ears. He's got long hound dog ears. And he chews on them. That's when you hear him go, that means because he's trying to grab his ears. Yeah, softening everything up. Much better, in my opinion. I don't know. That's how you lift, by the way. You wet it all and then pull it off with a dry, damp brush. Now my cat's coming to tell me it's time to eat. I'm almost done, guys. I can't blame them. I'm a creature of habit too. I like to have my meals at a certain time. Alright, so I'm done lifting. I put all that paint on and then I took it all off. There we go. Okay, my friends, well, as per usual, I'm not happy with a few things here. I'm looking at these. This one is so lopsided. This one is so... These two, I love the way they look. I don't like the way these two look, and I don't know how to fix it. I'm going to do something that I hope isn't going to ruin the painting. I'm going to put a little water here, and I'm going to try to lift a little bit of that paint off, but I'm going to push it in. Wish me luck. A little more water, and I'm pushing it in. I hope I didn't just ruin my painting. And I'm going to try, I'm just going to put a little bit of that rose red, just like that instead, with maybe some of the cadmium orange, just mixing all those colors with water. A little more of the rose red. I don't know if that made a difference or not. A little bit of the yellow maybe. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I just do not like it. And I know it's not about perfection. I just want it to look nice, you know? I've been drawing tulips all day and I want them to look nice. So here we go. Now, I really don't know if this is going to make a big difference or not. A little yellow. Same thing here. There's this whole side here that I don't like. Just getting it wet. And I'm pushing the color in to pull it off so that it doesn't go any further out this way. You know what I mean? And it might just look like a little shadow underneath. I don't know. Watercolor is forgiving, but you know, when you get to a certain point in your painting, you can't really pull color off, or you might destroy your page or your painting, which I'm hoping I'm not going to do. Let's see. Little orange, maybe a little more red. And I want to blend that in a little bit. And I'm going to put some yellow. What the heck? Let's do more yellow. I always have to do that, eh? I always have to just doubt myself. Silly me. I'm just practicing. I have to remind myself of that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Perfectionism can be a disease, huh? All right, let me take a look at this. Let's remove that. Let's make a clean edge here. And I'll look at it this way. Well, it changed it a little bit. I think I'm okay with that. Well, my friends, I'm going to stop now before I alter this painting beyond repair. I have to remember that I'm just doing a study. I'm practicing. I'm just having fun, and I'm playing with paints. And there's no pressure to be perfect, right? If you enjoyed this video, my friends, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to leave me a comment. I love reading your comments, and I do reply to them. Thank you so much again for being here, my friends. I'll see you next time on Rain Francis Art. Bye.